Well, the death of Apple co-founder Steve Jobs shook the world this week. Jobs died Wednesday after a long battle with pancreatic cancer. After an 11-year absence from Apple, he rejoined the company to reinvigorate the brand. He introduced the tech world to the iPod, MacBooks, iPhone, iPad. So, bottom line, what can we learn from Steve Jobs, and how will he be remembered?
Well, joining us this morning is Carmine. He's the author of the Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs and the Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs. Welcome.
Good morning.
You know, after he died, they called him the Edison of the tech world,
yes.
A global visionary, and you checked him over, and what did you find about him that in fact earned him these accolades?
Well, certainly he changed everything, didn't he? He changed everything about the way we use computers, about the way we share and enjoy our music, about the way we enjoy animated movies, about the way we use our phones now. So he certainly touched every part of our lives. And as journalists too, he really brought font and typography to the publishing industry. So he's really touched everything about the way we live our lives. But there's certainly principles that have guided him his whole life. And one of them, and I know this sounds like a soft skill, but it's do what you love. And that was his advice. Someone asked him point blank, what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur just starting out, or someone just out of college? And he said, go out and get a job as a busboy until you find what you are truly passionate about, because you will never be able to create innovative, new, and exciting products unless you are passionate about what you're doing.
And he walked that walk, didn't he? He dropped out of college because it wasn't fulfilling for him.
But he dropped out of college, remember, to drop in to a class on calligraphy, which had absolutely no application to his life at the time whatsoever. And yet a few years later, it made its way into Macintosh, the first computer that had beautiful font and typeface and calligraphy. If Steve Jobs had not followed his passion, everything about the way we use computers would have been completely different.
And the other thing that possibly drove him, according to what you've investigated, is his innate fear of failure. Where did that come from?
Sort of like Al Davis, huh? There are two innovators passing away this week, but he had this incredible standard of excellence. And so he was fanatical about every little detail, about every font and every pixel on every computer and every device.
And did not suffer fools gladly. I heard he didn't have a lot of buddies.
He's apparently surrounded himself by a very small group of people, about 6 or 7 people. If you weren't in that group, you were out. But again, you know what that speaks to? Simplicity. Everything about his life and about Apple was simple. And he realized that in order for all of us to be able to use computers effectively and to use these tools to change the world, they would have to be simple, elegant, and easy to use. And so that was part of that philosophy.
You've also written about his presentation style.
Yes.
And he was an innovator in that, and part of it was also simplicity there, based on the way he dressed. It became iconic.
That was part of the simplicity, the black turtleneck and the jeans and the running shoes. Of course, that's not appropriate for everybody, but it worked for him, didn't it? But he created these presentations that were stunning in their simplicity. How many of us have the courage, if you're delivering a PowerPoint or an Apple presentation on Apple software, how many of us have the courage to put one word on a slide or just one image? And yet now many other companies around the world are trying to emulate that style because it's a more effective style of communicating information. He knew this years ago.
So has he left enough behind that the company can continue and not lose his vision?
From what I understand, at Apple, his philosophy that he has created really is throughout the organization. People forget Jonathan Ive is the lead designer at Apple. He's the person really credited with designing the iPhone, MacBooks, the iPad. Tim Cook is brilliant. Of course, we're going to lose a little of that charisma, that magic. But these are very brilliant leaders and creative leaders.
That he was such a loner, you would say Steve Jobs had charisma, but obviously
on stage,
touched a lot of folks. Thanks very much, Carmine Gallo, for joining us.
The Innovation Secrets of Steve Jobs. Thanks a lot, Carmine.
We'll be right back.